22 में 22 में आई क्या 22 अक्टूबर आवाना था.
Good morning. I am Dr. Sahil, first year DNB resident here at Becker's Institute. Today I will be talking about this Explorer HCM trial which tested a drug called mavacamten for treatment of symptomatic obstructive hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, the results of which were published in the Lancet in September 2020.
2020?
Yes, sir. I had actually got another trial, the results of which were published in 2023, but then I decided to go with the first trial which was done for this trial. So, just to introduce the topic HOCM, it is a myocardial disorder characterized by asymmetrical left ventricular hypertrophy and hypercontractility, dynamic LVOT obstruction, and diastolic dysfunction are hallmarks of the disease. And LVOT obstruction plays a major, it is a major determinant of morbidity in patients with this disease. And coming to the prevalence and impact, it is one of the most common genetic heart conditions with a prevalence of about 1 in 500 to 1 in 700 adults. Its estimated prevalence is 15 to 20 million worldwide. The complications that can arise due to HCM are heart failure, atrial fibrillation, and sudden cardiac death, particularly in younger individuals. And coming to the pathophysiology of obstructive HCM, hypercontractility, it is a hallmark of the disease and it leads to increase in LVOT gradients. The hypercontractility is driven by more number of actin-myosin cross linkages leading to outflow obstruction. Diastolic dysfunction also further exacerbates symptoms. And the current therapies available for the disease, that is beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, and disopyramide. These are commonly used, but they have limited effectiveness. These therapies are not disease specific and they do not alter the natural history of HCM. And invasive therapies like septal myectomy and alcohol septal ablation, they carry procedural risks. They require expertise, they are not always accessible. So there is a need for
what limited effectiveness comes when new therapy comes. Moment a new therapy comes, the old therapy, justified that they have limited effectiveness. That what you know.
એટલે બધામાં અલગ અલગ પણ એના પછીનું જે આવ્યું જેમાં સેપ્ટલ ને માયોમેક્ટોમી એમાં બીજો વર્ષ આપણે
પણ દોસ્ત બીટા બ્લોકર તમે આપો તો it will not alter the natural history.
Sir, it will alter, but the words used here are the actin-myosin cross-link.
That is mechanism of action, that is different. Suppose if I am an HOCM patient with having LV septal thickness of 18 millimeter, if you will put me on beta blocker, what you will expect?
The patient
સડન ડેથ પ્રિવેન્ટ કરે ને બીટા બ્લોકર થી એટ્રિયલ ફિબ્રિલેશન પ્રિવેન્ટ થાય હાર્ટ ફેલિયર પ્રિવેન્ટ થાય આ ત્રણ થી તો થયું કહેવાય ને ઇટ ઇઝ ગુડ વેલ્યુ.
Yes, sir. This is also a newer drug, newer modality.
And that is okay.
Okay.
My point is, moment something new comes, then the old therapy they being limited effectiveness. That is that word is very controversial. Yes, together you have used, and if you use this new molecule for only 2 or 3 years, then now that old therapy is.
Were you there in the last week's talk? You were there?
Yes, sir.
I was doing,
Yes, sir.
right? Your speaker accepted that we are checking with the 6 planes, but you are saying that with 2 planes you can still miss the obstruction. Then I was saying better. It's almost like that what is saying.
Yes, sir. These trials are basically sponsored.
So, right moment.
આ તો બધા
So there is a need for therapies that target the molecular mechanisms of HCM, and mavacamten is a first-in-class small molecule which is a selective allosteric cardiac myosin inhibitor designed to reduce the actin-myosin cross-link cross-bridge formation. And this approach directly targets the underlying pathophysiology of HCM.
તમે selective પછી શું બોલ્યા?
Allosteric inhibitor.
Allosteric.
Yes.
What is allosteric?
It inhibits myosin ATPase by altering its shape. It prevents myosin ATPase. It prevents
So
the
in a
myosin
way
to
it
attach to actin
it does some conformational changes in the
in
enzyme.
the
That is what-
myosin. So this is the trial overview. It was a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled phase 3 trial. It was done across 68 clinical cardiovascular centers in 13 countries, in which 251 patients with symptomatic obstructive HCM and NYHA class 2 or class 3 symptoms were enrolled. The study period was May 30, 2018 to July 12, 2019. The duration was a 30-week treatment period. The objective of the study was to assess the efficacy and safety of mavacamten in reducing LVOT obstruction and improving functional capacity. The results independently were verified by the Duke Clinical Research Institute in Durham, US.
So all these patients were genetic HOCM only, or they were acquired HCM also?
Yes, sir. That I mentioned in the later in the patient characteristic table. And inclusion criteria. The age of the patients were 18 years and above. The diagnosis of obstructive HCM explained due to unexplained LVH, that is left ventricular thickness, wall thickness more than or equal to 15 mm or more than or equal to 13 mm if it was familial HCM. The LVOT gradient of at least 50 mm Hg at rest or with Valsalva or exercise. And NYHA class 2 or 3 symptoms, LVF of at least 55%, and the participant should be able to perform upright cardiopulmonary exercise testing. These were the inclusion criteria, that is, if there was a history of syncope or sustained VT with exercise within the past 6 months before screening, these patients were excluded. If the corrected QTC was more than 500 milliseconds, these people were also excluded. If there was a history of paroxysmal or intermittent AF on screening ECG, and if the patients had persistent or permanent AF and they were not on adequate anticoagulation for 4 weeks or more prior to the study, they were excluded. Also, those who were not adequately rate controlled within 6 months before the screening, they were also excluded. And those who underwent septal reduction therapy more than 6 months before the screening were enrolled, if otherwise eligible. And standard HCM therapy with beta blockers and CCBs was continued for the patients. This is the randomization and masking and the procedure details. It was a 1:1 random assignment of drug or placebo. It was a double-blind study. The principal investigator, including the site staff and the patient, they were all masked to the drug being administered. The patients were evaluated every 2 to 4 weeks during the 30-week treatment period, and they were individualized to doses of 2.5, 5, 10 or 15 mg mavacamten administered orally to achieve a target left ventricular outflow tract gradient reduction below 30 mmHg and mavacamten plasma concentration between 350 to 700 nanograms per ml. The resting echocardiography, ECGs and mavacamten plasma concentration was done serially every 2 to 4 weeks across roughly 12 visits that were done for the participants throughout the study. Continuous cardiac monitoring with a 48-hour Holter was done at baseline, week 12 and week 26. And cardiopulmonary exercise testing and post-exercise echocardiography, these were done at screening and at week 30. So these were the study endpoints, that is comparison with baseline to the changes at week 30. The primary endpoint was a composite of at least more than or equal to 1.5 ml per kg per minute increase in peak VO2 and at least 1 NYHA class reduction and at least 3 ml per kg per minute increase in peak VO2 without worsening of the NYHA class.
How peak VO2 is measured?
So it is done by cardiopulmonary exercise testing. CPET is basically to evaluate the cardiac and respiratory function of the participants.
So this peak VO2 were measured directly or with formula?
So that I
Okay, so most of the time it must be measured with formula, but they are now having machines which checks your peak VO2 while you are doing exercise. So which particular thing was used here?
so that I go to the secondary endpoints were changes in post-exercise LVOT gradient,
मतलब तो मैंने तो क्या VO2 ऑक्सीजन मेजरमेंट
peak oxygen consumption.
कंजम्पशन
Yes.
એવું કહેવાય કે તમારું 1 મિનિટની અંદર તમે કેટલું હાઈએસ્ટ લેવલ ઓક્સિજન યુઝ કરો છો that is indirect capacity carrying of your cardiopulmonary system peak VO2 એટલે જીમમાં આ લોકો હવે બહુ યુઝ કરે છે આપણે હજી હેલ્થ કેરમાં એટલું યુઝ નથી કરતા બટ જે હાઈએસ્ટ લેવલના જીમ હશે ને તે ચેક યોર પીક VO2
એટલે પીક જે આવે છે ને એમની પાસે બી એવું કંઈક મશીન જ આવે છે એનાથી મેજર કરે છે લાઈક પલ્સ ઓક્સિમીટર જેવું કંઈક આવે
ના ના એ નહીં આખું મોટું મશીન આવશે
મોટું આવે છે
એમાં તમારી હાર્ટ રેટ ECG તમારો મસલ માસ અને પીક VO2 અને ટાઇડલ કેપેસિટી આટલું બધા બહુ બધું જોવે છે આખી ડિટેલ તો મને નથી ખબર પણ ટોપ મોસ્ટ જીમ્સ આ સેલિબ્રિટી વાળા આ બધા છે ને એ લોકો જોવે છે પીક VO2
So the secondary endpoints were the change in the post-exercise LVOT gradient, the change in peak VO2, more than or equal to 1 NIHA class improvement, and change in these two scores, that is the Kansas-City cardiomyopathy questionnaire and hypertrophic cardiomyopathy symptom questionnaire. These questionnaires are the Kansas-City cardiomyopathy questionnaire is a 23-question self-administered questionnaire which assesses the heart failure symptoms of the patient, and the more the score, the more are the patient's symptoms. And HCM SQ score is a 11-question questionnaire. It assesses the patient's symptoms pertaining to HCM, and the more the score, the better it is for the patient. The more healthier is the patient. And these were additional pre-specified endpoints. That is complete response, that is all LVOT gradients to less than 30 mmHg and at least reduction of NYHA, reduction of NYHA to class 1. Then what were the proportion of patients that had improvement in the gradients, and thirdly serum concentrations of NT-proBNP and highly sensitive cardiac troponin I. And safety endpoints included frequency and severity of treatment emergent adverse events and serious adverse events. So these are the patient's characteristics. 58.5, the average age of the patients was around 58.5 in both Navacampten and placebo groups. 54% and 65% patients were males in each group respectively. Majority of the patients were from the USA and they were whites, that is around 93%. And genetic testing which was performed initially, 31% of the patients had likely pathogenic hypertrophic cardiomyopathy gene variant. Then medical history, 27% had a family history of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, 46% had hypertension, 22% had hyperlipidemia. Then majority of them, that is 76%, were on a beta blocker, 20% were also on a calcium channel blocker, 22% had an ICD implanted previously, and the average heart rate was 63 and 62 in both the groups.
Any beta blocker doses were considered. This must be the beta blocker doses.
No sir, but at the end, there were in the results there were improvements in the patient's characteristics who were on beta blockers. That is what is mentioned.
So only 30% માં gene probable કે confirmed gene રહેશે. What about rest? 69%. What were their causes? એનું કઈ છે?
એટલે આ બીજા બધા છે ને હાઇપરટેન્શન ને આ તે બધા કોઝ
As a cause.
So this data has been mentioned in the patient characteristics. So maybe they must have not
પેલી
evaluated.
તો છે ખાલી associated medical issue છે. We are talking as a cause of hypertension.
So they must not have evaluated.
હશે કંઈક details on it.
And these are the patient characteristics. 72% of the patients, 74% of the patients had NIHI class 2. The peak VO2 was 18.9 with a standard deviation of 4.9, 18.9 and 19.9 in both the groups, that is around 19 and 20. The NT-proBNP in nanograms per liter was around 777 and 616 in both the groups. The
What is normal value of PO2 in adult male?
Sir, it is 25 to 40 ml per kg per minute.
So how you can indirectly derive that?
So that I will do.
From pulse rate. Your resting and peak exercise pulse rate, you can derive it. There are set formulas.
Then LVF was 74 and 74% with a standard deviation of 6. Then LVOT gradient with Valsalva was 72 and post exercise was 86 and roughly the same values in the placebo group as well. So these were the results of the study. So the primary endpoint, that is both of the primary endpoints were met by 37% of the patients in the Mavacamten group and around 17% in the placebo group. Then these primary endpoints were split into these three, and in that also 33% of the patients had more than 1 NYHA class improvement and more than 1.5 ml per kg per minute increase in peak VO2. And even 24% had more than or equal to 3 ml per kg per minute increase in peak VO2 with no worsening of NYHA class. Then in the secondary endpoint, this post-exercise LVOT gradient reduced by almost 47 in 117 patients out of 123. And peak VO2 change from baseline to week 30 was 1.4 ml per kg per minute. Then even in 65% of the patients, there was NYHA class improvement by at least 1. And the change in these questionnaires and the questionnaire scores, the change from baseline in the Kansas City cardiomyopathy questionnaire was 13.6. That is the score improved. That is the patient's symptoms decreased. And in the SCM SQ score, the scores decreased. That is the patient's symptoms decreased.
It became minus.
It reduced by 2.8.
Reduced.
It reduced by 2.8. So here 244 patients, that is 97% completed the study. 5 patients discontinued the treatment prematurely, 3 due to adverse events. There is 2 in the Mavacamten group, 1 in the placebo group, and 2 of the patients withdrew. These look again exploratory efficacy endpoints. Basically, this is to show that there was good response in those who were administered Mavacamten. Complete response was in 27% patients. The post-exercise LVOT peak gradient reduced to less than 50 mmHg in 74% of the patients and less than 30 mmHg in 57% of the patients. Then cardiac function outcomes, there was minimal reduction in the LVEF, that is mean reduction of 3.9% in the patients who were administered Mavacamten. And this LVEF normalized after temporary treatment discontinuation when it dropped below 50% in a few cases. And there were also significant reductions in the pro-BNP and cardiac troponin I levels. These biomarkers, that is, it indicated reduced cardiac stress and injury. And these are the graphs which show that there was decrease in the LVOT gradients, there was decrease in the left ventricular ejection fraction and the cardiac biomarker values in the patients who were administered Mavacamten to those compared with placebo. And Those who were on beta blocker therapy, there was consistent benefit that was observed in these patients and also across the other group of patients. And there were greater benefits that were observed in patients not on beta blockers in terms of exercise capacity improvement.
So એ બે વાક્યનો ડિફરન્સ સમજાવો. What is consistent benefit observed? તેમાં પ્રાઇમરી એન્ડપોઇન્ટમાં, સેકન્ડરી એન્ડપોઇન્ટમાં એ કેટલું?
In both primary and secondary endpoints, there was consistent benefit that is consistent in across all the group of patients that were chosen.
Okay, so all groups which were on beta blocker, whether it is placebo or whether it is mavacamten, એને ફાયદો થયો.
including
The
જે બીટા બ્લોકર પર હતા, બેકગ્રાઉન્ડમાં જેને બીટા બ્લોકર એમાં ફાયદો થયો. હવે નીચેવાળામાં શું છે?
greater benefit.
In terms of exercise capacity improvement, those who were not on beta blockers, no heart rate maybe not that low.
So apart from exercise capacity, બાકી બધામાં બીટા બ્લોકર વાળામાં ઇમ્પ્રુવમેન્ટ નથી? બાકી બધા પેરામીટરમાં?
બાકી બધામાં તો છે જ. એક્સરસાઇઝ કેપેસિટીમાં એટલું નથી.
જે પેશન્ટ બીટા બ્લોકર ઉપર નહોતા એને તમે માવાકેમ્ટન ચાલુ કરી એમની એક્સરસાઇઝ કેપેસિટી ઇમ્પ્રૂવ થઈ. That is one parameter, exercise capacity. What about other parameters? On patient who were not on beta blocker,
So they improve.
they remain same whether beta blocker હતી કે નહોતી.
Yes.
એવું કહેવા માંગો છો?
They improve. They improve.
non inferior અને superior આની એવી ટર્મિનોલોજી હોય છે ઇન્ટરપ્રિટેશન ઇઝ
આ શબ્દો બહુ સ્માર્ટલી ચૂઝ કર્યા.
સ્માર્ટલી યુઝ કરે.
ઓકે, અત્યારે HOCM ની ગાઈડલાઈન આવી છે કે ટ્રીટમેન્ટની?
Yes.
નવી
આગળ આવશે ને?
Yes, sir.
Done.
These were the adverse events. Now, here also, treatment emergent adverse events were seen in 88% of the patients who received mavacamten. But serious adverse events were only seen in 11 of the patients. This is what they have mentioned. And the reported serious adverse events were atrial fibrillation, syncope, stress cardiomyopathy, diverticulitis, infection, contusion, forearm fracture. Regarding contusion and forearm fracture, I have spoken in the subsequent slides. So basically, 2 patients developed atrial fibrillation, 2 patients developed syncope, 1 of them developed infection, diverticulitis, and 2 of them also developed contusion and forearm fracture, respectively.
The symptom in atrial fibrillation may be due to inherent
HOCM also. So, this is again talking about the transient decrease in the left ventricular ejection fraction. 9 patients in the mavacamten group, totally 9 patients, 7 plus 2, they had a transient decrease in LVEF, and out of them 5 had to be discontinued the mavacamten, and their EF later normalized after the patients completed, and then the patients completed the study. And in 4 of the patients, LVF was less than 50% at the end of the study, and 3 out of these returned to baseline after 8 weeks, that is 8 weeks after the 30-week treatment period. Then this is about atrial fibrillation, the 2 each at week 12 and week 26. And this was about non-sustained ventricular tachycardia, that was not mentioned there. 31% in the mavacamten group had at baseline had non-sustained VT, and week 12 and week 26, week 26 and 32% patients, roughly the same amount of patients in both the groups, except at week 12 had non-sustained ventricular tachycardia. So, talking about mavacamten, as I previously mentioned, it is a selective cardiac allosteric inhibitor of cardiac myosin ATPase. It acts by inhibiting the myosin-actin cross-bridge formation, and this excessive actin myosin cross-bridge formation and dysregulation of the relaxed state. These are hallmarks of HCM. And mavacamten promotes an energy sparing and super relaxed state that translates into decrease in the LVOT obstruction and improvement in the cardiac filling pressures. Now this is just an animation showing a typical cardiac muscle contraction.
Darkomere contains many parallel overlapping thin, actin, and thick myosin filaments. The muscle contracts when these filaments slide past each other, resulting in a shortening of the sarcomere and thus the muscle. This is known as the sliding filament theory. Cross-bridge cycling forms the molecular basis for this sliding movement. Muscle contraction is initiated when muscle fibers are stimulated by a nerve impulse and calcium ions are released. The troponin units on the actin myofilaments are bound by calcium ions. The binding displaces tropomyosin along the myofilaments, which in turn exposes the myosin binding sites. At this stage, the head of each myosin unit is bound to an ADP and a phosphate molecule remaining from the previous muscular contraction. The myosin heads release these phosphates and bind to the actin myofilaments via the newly exposed myosin binding sites. The two myofilaments glide past one another, propelled by a head-first movement of the myosin units, powered by the chemical energy stored in their heads. As the units move, they release the ADP molecules bound to their heads. The gliding motion is halted when ATP molecules bind to the myosin heads, thus severing the bonds between myosin and actin. The ATP molecules are now decomposed into ADP and phosphate, with the energy released by this reaction stored in the myosin heads, ready to be used in the next cycle of movement. The myosin heads resume their starting positions along the actin myofilament and can now begin a new sequence of actin binding. The presence of further calcium ions will trigger a new cycle.
So this is the protocol that has now been set for mavacamten initiation, maintenance phase, into initiation and maintenance phases. And when to stop mavacamten, that has also been mentioned later. So first, mavacamten is initially initiated at a dose of 5 mg, provided the EF is more than or equal to 55%. Then if the LVOT gradient at week 4 is less than 20 mmHg, the dosage is reduced to 2.5 mg once daily. And if the LVOT gradient is more than or equal to 20 mg, the 5 mg once daily dose is maintained. Now, if the dosage has been reduced to 2.5 mg once daily, again at week 8, the LVOT gradients are assessed. And if it is less than 20 mg, the mavacamten is withheld and the patient is followed up after 4 weeks. If the gradient is more than or equal to 20 mmHg, the 2.5 mg once daily dose is continued. And the patient is followed up at 12 weeks for the maintenance dosage. And if at 5 mg once daily dose, the gradient at week 8 is less than 20 mmHg, the dose is again reduced to 2.5 mg once daily. And if the gradient is at least 20 mmHg or more, the 5 mg once daily dose is maintained, and then these patients are followed up at week 12. This is the maintenance phase protocol. With the current dose of the medication that was at week 8, whether it was 2.5 mg or 5 mg or more, the LVF is assessed. If it is less than 50%, the treatment is intermittently halted, that I'll speak about in the next slide. If the EF is between 50 to 55%, regardless of the LVOT gradient, or if it is more than 55% but the gradient is less than 30 mmHg, the same dosage is continued and the patient is followed up at the 24th week, that is after 12 weeks. And if the LVF is more than or equal to 55% and the gradient is more than 30 mmHg, up titration is to be done to the next higher dose, that is from 2.5 to 5 or 5 to 10 or 10 to 15. And then because the dosage has been up titrated now, the clinical status and echo is to be examined at 4 weeks again, and the same dosage is to be maintained for at least 8 weeks until the EF again goes down to, if at all it goes down to less than 50%. And further up titration is also permissible after 12 weeks of treatment of the same dosage. Now this is the treatment interruption protocol. That is, if the EF any time drops to less than 50%, the treatment is to be interrupted and the echo parameters are to be checked every 4 weeks until the EF goes to more than 50%. And when the EF goes so, that is rises to more than 50%, again the treatment is started at a lower dose. And again the similarly clinical status and echo at 4 weeks is checked, and then the treatment is to be continued for 8 weeks and at least then 12 weeks. And if the EF is less than 50%, when checked twice on the lowest possible dose, that is 2.5 mg daily, the treatment is permanently discontinued. This is about the pharmacology and of mavacamten. Mechanism of action I just spoke about. Its bioavailability is 85%. It peaks plasma concentration is achieved in 1 hour, and there is no significant difference after a high fat meal. Peak plasma time increased by 4 hours. Is increased by 4 hours. The distribution, it is mostly protein bound, that is 97 to 98% of it. And it is extensively metabolized by CYP2C19, CYP3A4 and CYP2C9 enzymes. Its elimination is mostly in the urine, 85% of it, and 7% is in the feces. Its half-life is variable, it depends on this major enzyme, that is CYP2C19, and the patient's metabolic status. Normal patients metabolize the drug in 6 to 9 days. Poor metabolizers take 23 days.
So what is the exact duration of action of the active metabolite?
Its peak exact value.
So the milligram that you have shown, it is OD dose or a BD dose?
It's a 40 dose.
OD dose. It must be at least 12-14 hours minimum. Right? Or is it like it is shorter duration, but we are not losing up the heart muscle all throughout 24 hours. So we give for a while and then next day we again give. So exact mane kejo.
Yes, that is right. And these are the black box warnings that are mentioned on for mavacamten. It reduces the EF owing to systolic dysfunction, and as I mentioned previously, that treatment is to be interrupted if the EF goes to less than 50%. And it is with co-administration with CYP450 inhibitors and inducers is not recommended, as this increases the risk of heart failure due to systolic dysfunction. Also, it is contraindicated with moderate to strong CYP2C19 inhibitors and moderate to strong CYP2C19 or CYP3A4 inducers. And this is the study of 2020, so it is only available through restricted program, that is a risk evaluation and mitigation strategy called REMS. REMS Camzyos program.
So must not be available in India.
Sir, it is available by third party. It is not sanctioned to be available.
DCGI approved India man.
Nothing.
Black moment.
Yes. These are the drugs which are not recommended to be used with mavacamten. And this is regarding pregnancy. There are no real data available on its use in pregnancy. It may cause fetal harm when administered to pregnant females. And before starting mavacamten, in females, absence of pregnancy is to be confirmed. And in animal studies, there was decreases in the mean fetal body weight and fetal ossification of bones in rats, and visceral and skeletal muscle malformations observed in both rabbits and rats with mavacamten at dosages that are maximally recommended for humans as well. contraception, the female should be advised to use effective contraception during treatments and for 4 months after last dose. And it is unknown whether its effects, it is present in breast milk or does it have any effect on breastfed infants. And so Mavacamten is the first targeted pharmacological therapy that directly addresses the pathophysiological basis of obstructive HCM. It was superior to placebo in the current study for all primary and secondary endpoints. And many patients, majority of the patients met the primary endpoint that used both objective and subjective assessments. And these findings were also consistent across all secondary endpoints. It has a favorable safety profile with minimal adverse effects. So thus, it provides a non-invasive alternative to surgical interventions like a septal myectomy or alcohol septal ablation. Then these are the ACC guidelines. These are the 2020 guidelines in the first column, and in the second column these are 2024 ACC guidelines for treatment of HCM. And now adding a myosin inhibitor to adult patients only has been added to the guidelines. It is a class 1 recommendation in the 2024 ACC guidelines.
So it is not initiated without all these drugs, or it is?
No.
Despite beta blocker, I was like
પહેલા beta blocker હોવી જોઈએ.
or CCP. Then
Okay. So,
beta blocker is to be continued.
yes, yes.
So આ બાજુમાં જે તમે 1 લખ્યું છે એ ક્લાસ ઓફ રેકમેન્ડેશન છે.
Yes.
What is level of evidence?
8.1.1.
This was just in the PDF that was mentioned. This is one of the changes that is there in the guidelines from 2022 2024.
પણ બાજુમાં 1 છે ક્લાસ 1 હોય એવું લાગતું નથી કારણ કે ક્લાસીસ જનરલી એ લોકો રોમનમાં લખે છે.
એટલે આ ક્લાસ નહીં એ તો કંઈક બીજું
બીજું કંઈક હશે કારણ કે નેક્સ્ટ કેવું કંઈક હશે. Okay, if you find a patient of HCM who is having obstruction LVOT, you don't start Mavacamten.
Yes, sir. Beta blocker.
હવે I might have missed પણ ક્યાંય એકેય જગ્યાએ તમારા ડિસ્ક્રિપ્શનમાં એવું આવ્યું કે Mavacamten મૂક્યા પછી LV thickness કેટલી ઘટી?
No, sir.
How it works on basic pathophysiology then?
Sir, there are further studies and there are.
So હવે તમે જે 2023 નો ટ્રાયલ છે તો એ લાગ્યા છો ત્યાં?
Yes, sir. I have just mentioned 1 or 2 lines about
કરો ને બતાવો.
And these were the limitations of this study. That is, patients on diisopyramide and patients with severe symptoms were excluded from this study. These have been evaluated in the Wheeler HCM study. And effect of Mavacamten on life-threatening arrhythmias and sudden cardiac death was not assessed. And younger patients, less than 18 years actually, not 50, 18 years, and those who were not white had low representation in the study.
એટલે આપણે તો વાપરવાની જ નહીં બ્લેકમાં તો કઈ કે આપણા માટે આવી જ નથી
This is regarding preclinical trials of the drug. In mice, it was shown to, when it was started to be evaluated, it had a potential to induce regression of hypertrophy and prevent the development of cardiac hypertrophy and fibrosis. And these findings indicate that Mavacamten may show a similar effect in humans. And these are the other related studies. The trial which I presented was Explorer HCM, and which was a phase 3 trial. There were other phase 2 trials that were done, that is Pioneer HCM. It was a phase 2 trial and which concluded that treatment with Mavacamten significantly reduced the post-exercise LVOT gradients. In Maverick HCM, there was significant reductions in the cardiac biomarkers, NT-proBNP and troponin I levels, which was observed in patients with non-obstructive disease, suggesting that gradient reduction might only partially explain the benefit observed with Mavacamten. Then in this Pioneer OLE phase 2 trial, again it is assessing the long-term efficacy and safety of Mavacamten. In the Wheeler HCM phase 3 trial study, Mavacamten has been evaluated in delaying or preventing the need for invasive septal reduction therapy. And MAVA LTP is a phase 3 just been completed and it is assessing the long-term efficacy and safety of mavacamten. So this was the first trial, Pioneer HCM. Maverick HCM assessed the patients with non-obstructive disease and the reduction in the cardiac biomarker values. Pioneer OLE again assessed the safety and efficacy over a longer period of time. I spoke about Explorer HCM. This MAVA-LT is going on. Its interim results have been published that it is safe and all, but it is expected to be completed in April 2026. Wheeler HCM, its data has been published that it delays the need for septal reduction therapy, or rather sometimes prevents that also. This Explorer CN is a trial which has been started in China specifically, and this Embark HFpEF is a phase 2 trial in heart failure patients with preserved ejection fraction. So this drug is trademarked by MyoKardia, which is owned by Bristol Myers Squibb company. This is the approximate cost of the drug. It is around 6,75,000 per month for our patients, which amounts to 70 to 80 lakhs per year.
But एक में इंडियन पेशेंट को जो आया है ना कि आखिरी ऑनगोइंग ट्रायल है
Yes.
આપણે
US and China.
આપણા ઇન્સ્ટિટ્યૂટ માંથી કોઈ માવા મેટકમ સ્ટાર્ટ થયા છે